Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Dobby.
And I'm Matthew.
And this is Inside the Pylon. So as we get into this new week, we do have free agency. Next week on our show, we're going to be previewing free agency and stuff like that. So we're only a week away out from that. But aside from that, we didn't have a lot to go over as far as actual topics go. This is kind of the dry period, that transition from the league new year, from the Super Bowl, just that like 4 or 5 week dead period. And we didn't have the combine, so there was a lot of different things that we were kind of missing coming into this. But this week especially now, there was a lot of different things going on.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of moves in the NFL this week. So started off, J.J. Watt signed with the Cardinals.
Man, that was a pretty big deal. And I mean, didn't he announce it himself too?
Yeah, he posted on Instagram a picture of the Cardinals while he was working out. And funny story, he said that it was between, I think, 4 teams. And he wanted all the shirts just in case something crazy happened.
Yeah.
But he didn't want the dudes to notice that it was J.J. Watt's name on the delivery and his shirts coming in. So he had his little brother's friend from high school order it and shipped it to his house so he could have it and be a little discreet about it.
That's pretty funny, but as far as the actual move goes, I loved this move. I thought this was a fantastic move for JJ. The Cardinals are a really good team, and I mean he comes to a defense now that has a lot of mix of young guys, and then you got one of the best pass rushers in the league who is very understated and underrated. You have Chandler Jones.
Yeah, it's going to be a nasty front two to be going against.
Yeah, those 2 edge rushers going at it, and I mean who knows how. I mean JJ did have a good year last year.
Just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, just has to stay healthy. But that's a very interesting Cardinals team. I think they play in the best division of football in my eyes.
Oh, especially now with Matthew Stafford. There's a bunch of moves that have happened in that division, man. It's going to be insane.
No, it's going to be really fun division to watch. I mean, over the past 3 years, they've made their case as the best division of football, especially when San Fran made the Super Bowl too. And the Seattle has not had a losing season since Russ has been there. So yeah, I mean that's just very interesting, and I really like that signing a lot.
And what I liked about it was that J.J. Watt actually texted Kyler Murray and said, "I'm coming here because I believe in you."
Did you see that picture of Kyler Murray where he posted back from high school where he took a picture with J.J. Watt? He was half his height.
That's hilarious. It's crazy how the world works.
In other news, though, Washington football team. This one I know upsets you pretty bigly. They're moving on from Alex Smith. They made it clear they don't want to retain him this year. From my perspective, and this is all I'm saying, I'll let you speak on it because I know you have a lot of personal feelings towards that. But from my perspective, it was I understand it because Heineke played so well in the playoffs. They're obviously going to be trying to draft a quarterback at some point in this draft and move on from that. They have a lot of needs to fix, especially at quarterback. It just seemed like a likely move.
I get it. Like you said, Taylor did come out and play a good game, but Alex has always got the short end of the stick. It doesn't matter if he was in San Fran, Kansas City, or now here in Washington. He just won Comeback Player of the Year, helped you guys get to the playoffs, and then we're not even going to give you a chance to battle it out in training camp. It's just
I understand it, but again, it's just
I just hope he can find a new home, really. If he can't be a starter, I would love Kansas City to bring him back as a backup.
That'd be awesome. They got the cap room.
Yeah, it depends on how much Alex wants to play still.
Yeah. Another interesting thing that happened this week, the Dolphins ended up hiring Ann Nolan as the director of football communications for them. And to me, it was another big step forward for a league that, is trying to bring such a diverse group of people into, all different positions and so forth. So to have another female come in and be such, a high-ranking position within the Dolphins front office, it again shows how versatile. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, how, the Dolphins are getting really diverse in their front office, and I feel like we should see more things like this happen throughout the league, and this was a really good hire and a good move by the Dolphins from my perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And we brought up Eric Bieniemy a couple times before in the show, and I just think it was really upsetting that he didn't get an opportunity to become a head football coach when other dudes to not as high as stature, I would say, got an opportunity to be a head coach. Hopefully next year he can find a home. But at the end of the day, I'm not too sad with him staying in Kansas City. Great coach. Him and Andy Reid work really well together.
I mean, why would you be? From the perspective of,
But I
think want to get hired.
I think we need to see a more change in, especially black head coaches. They need more opportunity. The women are actually starting to get an opportunity too. So it's really nice to see. So hopefully next year will be his year.
I agree with you 100% there. So then other news, there was a couple signings this week. One of them was pretty big, I'd say. Big Ben He's coming back. He's getting $14 million a year. I think it was.
I like that. I
a
like
two-year
that.
contract. Again, I have personal feelings toward
But
him.
that as a teammate, taking money to spread around less cap hit,
of course.
that shows that he wants to win. It's not all about the money for him. He just likes to play football.
Yeah, and I mean I get that too. What I would say about this move is it gives the Steelers a little bit more time to go find a quarterback. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at last year, they're in no position to get one of the top.
Not a good one.
Not the high-end top guys this year. So it gives them a little more wiggle room to...
But still not even. I feel like they're still going to compete, and they're not going to get a good pick unless they do a trade.
I mean, if it happens, it happens, but at least now you still have another 2 years to
find them, or maybe develop somebody.
Because, I mean,
trade.
even if, like, say, like, and we'll get more into draft talk when we get there, but say a guy like Mac Jones or...
someone slips.
Florida's quarterback. What was his name?
Was it Trask?
Yeah, Kyle Trask, sorry. Yeah. If Kyle Trask were to fall down to them, at that position or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you could give him a little bit of trial run, see how he does if they bring back the preseason this year and so forth.
I like that.
And evaluate. You get more time to evaluate, and so that's good for them. This one was pretty interesting to me. Tyrell Williams signing that was a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Lions.
6.2 with the Lions, which is nice because, the Lions just got Goff, so they're looking for weapons. Marvin Jones... And who's their other receiver? Galladay. They're probably going to enter free agency. So
that was what caught my eye, was the fact that they signed him, because that really does mean
one of those guys are definitely going.
No franchise tags or anything like that, so they're walking for sure.
So yeah, they had to go out there and get. I mean, and Williams is a pretty good receiver. I mean,
he's solid.
He'll be a good, good option. He's definitely not a number one, but
yeah, he's definitely a good player, depth player. You know what I mean? $6 million, not the worst deal in the world for a guy like that. Another thing that was really interesting this week that I actually personally really enjoyed was Greg Olsen and Thomas Davis going ahead and retiring as Carolina Panthers. That was really cool to see for me because I love that Carolina Panthers team when Newton won MVP and they made it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. That was such a cool team, and they were a really good unit, and those guys really enjoyed playing with each other, and obviously they wanted to retire with the team that they were with their whole career.
And that was awesome too. On the news of retiring, Anthony Sherman also retired. That was good to see.
That was another one.
Yeah, he was a good long-time Chief. Great guy. Glad to see him go out as a Kansas City Chief.
Yeah, I mean, he's great fullback for a good while. Yeah. He could have kept going in my eyes. But
so I thought Thomas could have maybe gave it another year as well.
Thomas Davis,
I would have, because Christian, coming back off the injury, it would have been nice just to see them just for the organization.
He wasn't with the Panthers.
Oh, he wasn't?
No, he signed with them to retire with them.
Oh,
he wasn't with the Panthers anymore.
Okay.
He really hasn't been relevant in, I'd probably say, like 2 or 3 years at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he was just kind of bouncing around, making, collecting a check, but that's fine. But again, he was a really good linebacker that I don't believe gets enough credit either on those defenses because, you had Kuechly.
Yeah.
You're going to be overshadowed to some extent. But aside from that, and this is where things started getting a little more interesting during the week. A couple players released. Obviously, I think it was yesterday or the day before, it was announced that True Font was getting released. That one, I would say that's a move I saw coming. You want to save, that cap space for True Font. He's not the same corner that he once was anymore. It's a guy that they just got to move on from. And, corners, I feel like the lifespan of corners in the NFL nowadays are really a lot smaller than they used to be.
I think it's inconsistent. Because you got some guys that are out there still playing old. Look at Peterson. He's still out there doing his thing.
Yeah, but even Peterson has started regressing. And, he's just cracked, maybe not just cracked, but he's in his early 30s, Richard Sherman's another one, I don't think he's like 35 or anything. I think he's still in his early 30s. But
that's
how
still
he's
old. That's still old, man.
But I know, but even that, but and I'm not even comparing the quarterback position because those guys
are way different. Corners are running every single play, that's a lot to ask out of somebody.
Yeah, but they released him. I kind of saw that move coming. Golden Tate released. He's getting older at this point. He's pretty old. He's a good still slot receiver. He's productive, but not to the extent where you'd want to keep him under that contract. Thomas Morstead, as well as 2 tight ends, were released from the Saints.
That was big. It was really shocking to see release 2 tight ends on the same day, but Kyle Rudolph also got released, so I think maybe they saw that and they're trying to get...
People were making jokes about it and saying, watch, Seattle's going to sign Kyle Rudolph because, Seattle loves to sign these old tight ends that are veterans, But Greg Olsen, they signed, Jimmy Graham, they signed way past their primes at this point, you know what I mean? It's just funny, they're like, oh yeah, he's going over there, Seattle.
I think whoever picks up Rudolph is getting a solid pick. I think he's still got a couple years of good football left in him.
I'm not sure about that one. But obviously, the biggest news this week, aside from JJ signing, was Kyle Van Noy, and this took everybody by surprise. Every outlet that I saw, McAfee was talking about it and so forth. He was cut. And he was 1 year into a $50 million deal that was 4 years.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit before the show, too, because we were talking about, the cap numbers and how much they were saving as opposed to dead cap. And the fact that he had $30 million guaranteed in that contract. So the thing is, I saw it. I do have the numbers on that. They saved $9 million in cap space, going forward. And the cap hit for their dead cap for the rest of his contract is like $3 million a year.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So they did that to save $9 million. And here's the thing that caught me by surprise, which a lot of people were talking about. And this will be our segue, eventually to talking about the NFL and how it's a business, because that's one of the main ideas of our show today. But the thing that was, surprising, and we really have to see how the Dolphins play this out, because we just don't know at this point what their move is. But I'm hearing, like what I've seen from sources and stuff like that, is that Levante David is probably not going to be coming back to the Buccaneers. They're probably going to, franchise Shaquille Barrett.
It was smart move.
Smart move. But you know what I mean? Levante's a little older. He's not super old, but he's older. And, again, he's such a fantastic linebacker that if he were to hit free agency, he'd get a pretty good deal. He's a really good player. He's an all-pro player.
Gonna push
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking either that or they go the route of trying to get one of the big receivers. But regardless, you can tell that was what they engineered that happened for. They're going to do something. They have some sort of plan. They know something's going on. So it's just very interesting to see. But again, here's our segue. It's like, how much has the NFL become a business at this point to where we're cutting players
after one year into their big deal?
Right, you know what I mean? And I mean, it's always been a business, but I think in this day and age more than ever. And another thing I was thinking about too was, talking about like the NFLPA and stuff like that. The NFL to their Players Association is the worst out of any major sport.
Oh yeah, the NBA's Player Association pretty much runs the league,
Especially like when you went to the Players Association in the NBA, their leader of that is Chris Paul. I think either he passed the reins back down. He might have passed the reins back down to somebody else, but for the longest time it was Chris Paul, someone who was active in the NBA at the time and was their representative. You have former players being the representative for the new players, and especially in the NFL because there's so many players. And the thing is, the contracts are not fully guaranteed in the NFL like they are in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So when you talk about guaranteed money and stuff like that, there's so many issues and discrepancies that they have talking to the GMs and the owners and stuff like that. So everything in the NFL is looked as a business.
Yeah, it'd be different if these guys were all fully guaranteed. On these contracts, they wouldn't maybe just be so easy to release someone or just go at something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you were to trade someone like that, you know what I mean?
Still gotta
you'd have to. Someone is paying them at the end of the day. They're not losing any money.
Exactly.
So, and then I think just the big thing is like there's no loyalty. I feel
None.
Like
it's just whatever if they think they can get something better out of it, they're just going to do it, just like a real business would.
Yeah, no, and I mean, unless you're a quarterback playing at an elite level, and I mean, look at even the Patriots. Their relationship with Tom Brady, that was one.
and he wins a Super Bowl.
Right, but I mean, aside from that, it's such a business at this point. You see players having their careers totally deterred by things like that. Like Dak Prescott was an issue last year. The Cowboys franchise tag him. They go sign him to a huge deal. He could have possibly, had his whole entire career ruined because that injury was devastating. Ruined his whole season, The thing is, though, he was playing so well before then that he will get a big contract or franchise tag again, whatever happens with that. He's lucky because there's so many instances of players getting injured while not getting that contract extension and teams being like, well, we have no more use for him. He's gone. Earl Thomas was one with the Seahawks. He was coming up on the end of his deal. Seahawks didn't give him a deal. This was a couple years back before he went to the Ravens. And you literally saw on camera, Earl Thomas gets injured and everybody on the field knows. His season's over.
Done, yeah.
He flicks off Pete Carroll and the coaching staff and all those guys because he knows. They screwed him.
Mm-hmm.
There was no loyalty. They didn't help him out. A player that gave so much to that franchise.
Part of the Legion of Boom.
That's what I'm saying, and it sucks to see. Yeah. I hate seeing that, and there's such a huge disparity between the owners and the players, and it needs to be helped.
It needs to be resolved. It's tough, yeah.
I mean, another example for that is when the Dolphins signed Sue. And, after like 2-3 years in, they cut Sue. and the biggest contract that was ever signed at the time for a defensive player. You know what I mean?
It's just, yeah.
And it happens over and over again. We were just lucky enough that when they did do the new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement in 2020, there was no lockout this time, like there was back in like 2012. You know, and the worst, people who experience the worst of that loyalty thing is the halfbacks. You want to talk about getting royally screwed by NFL teams and owners? Halfbacks. Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell. The two biggest running backs, you know, who've held out for that contract, who didn't want to, you know, get injured or risk that sort of, especially at the running back position. Yeah. I feel like that's the one, you know what I mean? You get so much tread on your tires and stuff like that.
You get hit, you're just getting beat up, you know, play after play.
Exactly, game in, game out. And they have the smallest shelf life of any position in the NFL at this point. So, you know what I mean? They want to get paid, and the teams don't care. They
don't care.
Like
exactly, because they can. There's so many people. You know how many people want to play running back? You know how many people want to play wide receiver?
And you know what I mean? They held out. They got nothing for it, and their careers since then have just fallen off a cliff. It's really like that, you know, when Eddie Murphy said it in, it was Raw, where he said, "What have you done for me lately?" That's how they treat these teams. They said, "What have you done for me lately, Eddie?"
Nothing.
Not a thing. It's terrible. And so, you know, I really hate that, and I hate the fact that the NFL is such a business that we can't just enjoy, you know, players sticking with the team their whole career, you know, something like how Kobe would do in the NBA.
Yeah.
It sucks to see, and I wish there was a little more loyalty, and it wasn't such a business that at the end of the day, you sacrifice, you know, I mean, like Jarvis Landry was another one for my Dolphins. I hated seeing him.
Yeah, that was huge, dude.
But it's such a business that it really deters from the game.
It does. It really does.
Because you want to see your favorite players on your favorite team every Sunday. And I just wish it was that way. I wish contracts were fully guaranteed, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, it's whenever they want to stop making as much money, too. I feel like, you know, the NFL, when they want to start actually giving these guys more money, you know. Because that money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, it does. I mean, another big thing was the fact that COVID hit this year.
Yeah, COVID.
It took off $20 million cap, so that's another reason. You know what I mean? How could the Dolphins have planned for that when we're talking about Van Noy?
Yeah, you never would have thought about that.
Exactly.
You know, no one ever would have thought, oh, we're going to lose $20 million to COVID.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. It sucks that the NFL is a business.
It really does.
Yeah. So, guys, that's going to do it for our show today. We have pretty big weeks upcoming here.
Yeah, these next
free agency and the draft. It's gonna be. We're gonna put out some bangers on that one. We're gonna give our the free agency preview next week, and the following week's the draft.
Yeah, we're gonna do our a mock draft just for the first round too. You're gonna get both our insights. So
that'll be a little bit further down the road,
but it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. Something to look forward to.
But definitely tap in for our free agency preview next week. And again, you know, I really enjoyed this week and everything that was going on for sure. Now, also remember to like, comment, subscribe, tap that bell for notifications to know when our next video goes live so you do get that preview. Also, we're still accepting donations if you'd like to donate to the channel. Link will be in the description. But other than that, I'm Dobby.
And I'm Matthew.
And this has been Inside the Pylon.